the donors have pulled out, which means that the activists are still in control.
Yeah.
And that's actually a sort of a bearish signal for the Democratic Party. And I think in a lot of ways, this is the Republicans' midterms to lose. I think the two things that could really set them back would probably be first, some sort of a war that we get entangled in. And then the second would be a recession or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's our election to lose.
I agree with you there. I don't know that a war, I don't know that we would get to involved to the degree necessary to turn the American people off if the economy's good, right? So I think the whole thing, hangs on the economy. If the economy's good, I think, not that I'm advocating for this, but I think that the American people would deal with a war with Iran just so long as we didn't have like major numbers of troops on the ground. If they had like took a beachhead or took a place and there were Delta raids or whatever, like special forces raids, I think the American people would be okay with that. I think the American people would be okay with having strikes. And that all depends on the economy. If the economy is crap, it doesn't matter if we do anything in Iran, because if the economy is crap, the Republicans are going to lose. It all hinges on the economy.
The New York Times piece also mentioned that the union bosses are out, which is an interesting part of the narrative here. I mean, basically, the populist right or populist forces in general have shifted over into the Republican Party, into MAGA.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
We saw the polling with, was it Teamsters, I think?
Yeah.
They supported Trump, but the bosses didn't.
Yeah. And I mean, in this case, though, I think it seemed like the bosses are now potentially shifting over into supporting, or at least their support for the Democrats is softening.
Mm.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you have the Democrats go all out against tariffs, I mean, you basically swap positions between the two parties. That's going to be a huge sticking point for union bosses.
That's right. You would think the union bosses would be at least slightly more supportive of some of the tariffs.
I actually think we're going to start seeing a media shift as well. Not super pronounced, but it will be trailing the political shift. When news keeps spreading, I mean, the New York Times internally, they're seeing this. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be asking themselves, what is our market share? Now, the problem is, for the reason why the Democrats are clinging to what to their positions, even as people are jumping ship, the people who have the easiest time of abandoning the political party are going to do so right now, and the people who don't are stuck. So union bosses, it was rough. They tried sticking with it through the 24 election, but now they're just like, okay, we're out. This is not our central focus. We're dealing with our internal organization and our union members and what they want and what's going to maximize the amount of money that we bring in, right? So when you get a poll showing the Teamsters overwhelmingly are pro-Trump, you know where your market share is. And you know if you want to keep this up and you want to make money, you know what you got to do. The problem is, this is what happened to CNN. CNN went insane anti-Trump. Let's just say this. 10 years ago, they had 1 million dedicated audience members who wanted the news and nothing else. Just bring me the news. And their numbers were high and their ratings were good because they were getting, airports and hotels. But let's just hypothetically say that 1 million dedicated people. So they run a story about how Donald Trump is orange and smells bad. And the million people are going, okay, it's kind of a weird story, but they get 2 million views. Their views spike because the people who hate Trump flock to watch CNN. CNN says, wow, look how many views we're getting. This is the path forward. So throughout the next 4 years, they dedicate all of their time to just saying Trump sucks. Well, the people who just wanted news left. They were like, I'm out. And now CNN's, as more people are moving away from this weird anti-Trump rhetoric, Trump is more popular than ever, CNN's ratings go into the gutter. Regular people have no problem turning it off and switching to something else. CNN, however, can't just turn off that they are the Orange Man Bad Network because they have enshrined themselves. They have built up a base of 50,000 fringe lunatic anti-Trumpers. If they now try to reverse course, they'll lose that base, and that's all they have left. So they're backing themselves into a corner. This is what the Democratic Party has done as a whole. They had no policies. The only thing they represented was Trump sucks. One by one, donors are like, it's easy for me to leave and go somewhere else. But the Democratic politicians now have monthly giving donors. The only thing they care about is that Trump is bad. They can't walk away from it. Otherwise, they'll end up with $0. You're not getting back the moderates because they think you're insane. And now you only risk losing what wackaloons you have.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like Nathan hit on where the activists are in the driver's seat. Certainly the case in media. I mean, every news agency, period, is completely filled to the brim with, from the PAs all the way up to the hosts, are filled with activists. So it's like, even though the vibes, so to speak, are on the right, it's not going to make a dent necessarily in these companies, because they're not concerned about the bottom line. They're concerned about doing good by their values. And a lot of these people
the legacy media companies?
The legacy media, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was so ridiculously out of touch the other day when Trump kind of tried to get a dig in at Tucker Carlson for not having a TV network.
Yeah.
Like, where have you been? You knew that this was the podcast election. That's why you were going on podcasts. Like, he even talked about that with Theo Von, with Joe Rogan. That was very much like a podcast election. Those were the places people were going to get news, opinions, and learn about what was going on. And Trump knew that. So why would he change his tune overnight just because, I don't know, Tucker is criticizing him? He just cannot take an ounce of criticism.
I do think it's strange that Tucker Carlson said the Trump administration was negotiating in good faith with Iran, but then before that also said Trump was complicit in this war before the U.S. even got involved. That seems contradictory. Was Trump in good faith trying to prevent a war? That's what he said to Ted Cruz. Or was he complicit in this war because of what Israel is doing? I don't know.
Even what Trump is saying is self-contradictory, because on one hand,
sure, yeah, absolutely,
you were supposed to believe that this was a unilateral strike that the U.S. was not involved in and perhaps was not even notified of. But also, we were working with them the entire time, and it was all a big ruse, and we were trying to make them feel like they were safe just so we could strike when they were least expecting it. So I don't know. And then he's telling people, like, don't listen to anything Tulsi Gabbard says, even though you appointed her.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.